Load stuff.
Okay, John.
Okay. I'd like to call to order the June 21st regularly scheduled Sylvania Township Board of Trustees meeting at 7 p.m.
Call the roll, sir. Mr. Mahoney.
Here.
Mr. Haddad.
Here.
Mr. Genowine.
Here.
Simcoe here.
Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The approval of the June 7th regularly scheduled meeting minutes.
I see no changes.
Neil?
I'm fine with it.
Okay. We'll approve the minutes as presented.
Okay, moved by Mr. Mahoney and seconded by Mr. Haddad.
That's good.
And all
Oh,
those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay.
All right. Additions or deletions to the agenda?
I'd like to bring something up under other for the stormwater situation. Under open discussion, probably down at the bottom there.
All right. Is that it?
Yep.
Neil?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Hearing of the public on agenda items only. Evan Erickson? No. Rob Brown?
Yeah. Were you just right here? Good enough?
Yeah, if you just state your name and your address and...
Okay. My name is Rob Brown. We own about 16 acres on Central Avenue, operate 4 different businesses up and down. And obviously I'm coming here as a concerned business person about this water district. And obviously, you know, as you guys know, you all know, it's a township. You run a pretty lean operation compared to most other forms of city government. And I guess I'd like to reiterate the fact that as business people, we're also looking to try and control our costs as well. I urge you to look at any option that will allow us to do that. And if it's going on our own, and like I said, you know the facts probably better than I do, but it's going on our own doing something with the township, and that's going to be cheaper. I think I'm all for it, and I'm sure probably most business owners would. When you look at where we live and work, and obviously the township has prospered, I think again because a lot of the efficiencies that the township offers, and if we're going to continue to grow and do that, these are the kind of decisions that we need to continue to make. So, you know, like I said, I'm hoping that you do take a look at all options, and that you do look for the most cost-effective way. Because, like I said, I think that's been pretty key to the growth of this area in terms of attracting businesses and continue to do so in the future. That's all I've got.
Well, that is part of the concerns. I mean, we do run a lean shop here, and it would be difficult to take on something as large as the stormwater, but we keep listening and seeing what we can find out, and certainly what's ever in the best interest of the residents and of the companies that are located here in the township is how, you know, we intend to go.
Yeah, I mean, I got to believe that you can run a lot better than, you know, the county or some, you know, whoever's going to run it. That's been proven time and time again.
Well, we've got our hurdles. I mean, we're restricted by what the Ohio Revised Code allows us to do, and, you know, what our workforce is capable of doing in a short period of time, and dealing with other government entities kind of murkies the water a little bit, but we are working very diligently to get the best proposal out here for the township.
And I understand, and I appreciate that. I want to make sure sometimes, you know, we just keep digging a little deeper and look for ways to do it versus it's easy to say yes to, you know, but let's look for ways to, you know, try and see, you know, if we can do a better job of it and do it more cost effective. Because like I said, I know the people that live and work here obviously are going to appreciate it. And, you know, we've obviously got all kinds of pressures in terms of cost. Things are a little tough right now. And this would certainly go a long way, I think, in terms of, you know, keeping the community in the forefront in terms of, you know, cost of doing business and a good place to live.
Thank you.
Hey, Rob, if I could give you this, maybe you could take with you, it's just some of the issues that we're getting through.
Okay.
And feel free to, give me a call or any of us a call at any time. But those are some of the things that we're trying to get, the hurdles we're trying to get through.
Okay.
So,
All right, great.
thank you.
Yeah.
We'll be discussing this, though, at the end of the meeting if you stay around, Rob, so.
Okay.
Lionel Blackburn?
House, the property next door to us. People moved out a few months ago, and of course became an eyesore because it hadn't been cut. And just on Saturday, I had a neighbor come up and down the street and butchered the front yard there. There's wildlife nesting in there for the last couple of months now, and it just drove a pair of possums into my backyard from that property. So I'm here complaining about the nuisance of that property. I have small children and small dogs that are let out in the evening now. We need to do something about that.
I believe that might be brought up this evening at the Gill House property. It is on our radar screen, and we hope to address it here soon.
What was that?
We are looking into it, and we hope to address it very soon. Hopefully get some resolution to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
This item on the agenda is the zoning department. We have the May monthly report and we have the resolution.
Good evening.
Evening.
The monthly report for May, we processed 39 permits, a total of $2.5 million to date. We have 139 permits on record, $10.5 million in estimated value. Most of the development right now is in new housing starts. We have 10. We've got 10 new additions, and we've got 11 commercial inventories today. And we're pretty much on line for where we were last year trending. In regards to cases, so far this year, we've been averaging about 2 cases a month for the Board of Zoning Appeals and about 2 cases a month for the Zoning Commission. In regards to violations, they almost doubled from the previous month, about 26. And to date, we have a total of 51. And actually, the gentleman who just spoke gave a nice segue into the next item. If you have any questions in regards to the report, I'll be happy to answer them.
I don't.
No, everything looks good.
Let's hopefully this continues.
We have sent out 3 letters to property owners at 4808 Penridge Road and 4635 Gill House Road. One by certified mail, as required by law. And we are now before you as an authorization for abatement. These properties, resolution number 11-109.
I'll offer resolution number 11-109, authorizing abatement of the properties at 4808 Penridge and 6535 Gill House.
Second?
Calling the roll, Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
So I have
Hey, Tim, quick question. I didn't see it, but compared to last year at this time, year to date, how are we? Have you seen a pickup with permits, or are you seeing any trends?
not yet.
Okay,
We'll know more when we get into July.
okay,
That's really the building season, so.
okay, thank you.
No other further questions, next is the Public Works Department. Very helpful.
Good evening.
I agree.
Resolution 11-107 to award the bid for household pickup to Stevens Disposal. I have information for the board to review. Mr. Beck, please scroll down to the supporting documents. board's information, there were two bidders, Stevens Disposal and Waste Management. Waste Management offered a bid that was somewhat unusual, where they offered a bid at $35 per ton and a truck rate of $200 per hour per truck. That's quite a variable. So nonetheless, I offer some information here. I took last year's tonnage, rounded up to 70 tons, and just gave some hypotheticals. Even with these hypotheticals at a 25% increase, Stevens Disposal is still cheaper. So this is just for your information, and still recommending the award to Stevens Disposal.
I'd like to offer Resolution 11-107, award of the household pickup to Stevens Disposal.
Second.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Next item, recommending Resolution 11-108 to award the bid concrete road repair program to Quinn Incorporated.
What project is this for?
Sir, this is for the concrete roadway repair off of pretty much the side streets off of
Nantucket. Okay.
I see an error in this. It says, be it resolved, trustees, Public Works Manager opens bids for 2011 household pickup.
Oh, yes.
That shouldn't be on there. So I think we need to strike that from the resolution, and I'll offer Resolution 11-108 to award the bid for the concrete road repair program.
My error.
That's okay, I just want you to take that off there. If we approve it the way it is, it looks like we're doing household pickup and concrete repair at the same time. Again.
Get a bargain.
Yes, 90,000.
Yeah.
Yes, 90,000, 45 dollars is the correct value.
For $90,045.
I'll second that.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Thank you. And the last item, I have Resolution 11-113, advertised for bids for the emulsified seal coat project. This will encompass about 2.4 miles of roadway, a few streets off of Bancroft and McCord, and then the other streets will be on North Flanders, Alexis, and the state line off of North Flanders area.
What's the total on this? Or we're just getting prices now?
It's estimated at $45,701.
$45,000, but hopefully our bid will come in
Less.
well under.
Okay. Offer Resolution 11-113, advertised for bids to emulsify seal coat.
Second?
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Next item on the agenda is the fire department monthly report for the chief. I have to say that yesterday, the chief and I were over at Savannah City Council's committee of the whole. And the chief was using his diagrams of where fire stations should be in that township. And I think the township, the Savannah City Council really appreciated us being there, and they actually mentioned how working together we can get this resolved. And the chief did an excellent job. His pins that were holding the service got torn out. He did a good job, and I'll let him talk a little bit more about that.
Thanks.
Thank you. As Mr. Zayla said, we did meet with the council of the whole last night, and we did discuss with them each of the 5 different locations that they had in their letter that they presented to us. I gave reasons for each location, pros and cons. We went through the process that Cole Russell gave us as far as we showed them how the buildings would look on each one of the lots. I also gave them the positive and negative things for each one of the lots. We talked a little bit about station number 1, keeping it where it is, and some of the issues that Cole Russell brought up as far as the issue of the back wall at that location, the lot not being big enough to give us that third Station Bay, and also the difficulty with putting the firefighters and the apparatus somewhere while we're building that station. So we did bring all those issues out. They had a lot of very good questions. They asked both of us, and I think we answered them to their satisfaction. They did invite us back again if they had any other questions, which we said we'd be more than happy to come back and share anything or answer any questions that they had. So I think it was quite a productive night. They had us on the agenda for a half hour. We talked for a little over an hour. So
Wow.
I think that they were very attentive and they asked really good questions. And I think it went very well as far as interaction between the two agencies.
Great.
And you have before you the May 2011 report. On page 1, we broke down, this is just a little bit different format. We broke down the different types of alarms and calls that we had as far as the total numbers. You'll see that the majority of the runs that we had were rescue and emergency medical services based. We do a lot of service calls or in-service calls. An in-service call is when a piece of apparatus goes to a particular address. It stays in service to be available for another call if another one comes in. And most of them are just to check smoke detectors, check an odor in the home, check a CO detector with the different monitors that we have. On page 2, we broke down the rescue responses for you. The majority of our responses that we went to were obviously auto accidents. June is the actual May and June are the trauma months. That's when we get more of the auto accidents and motorcycle accidents. Ill person is sort of a catch-all for if they can't figure out any of those other ones, cardiac-wise or anything, we sort of put it in that category. We did have a lot of injured persons, people getting out into their yards and doing a lot of the things maybe some of us older people shouldn't do. And respiratory distress. As the weather starts to get bad like it is today, the humidity builds, the heat builds, we get a lot of people that have respiratory issues that go out into the environment and then have issues breathing either when they go home or outside. So I anticipate those also to increase for the month of June, July, and August to stay up there pretty much. On page 4 are mutual aid incidents. The Saddle Creek Road incident, we actually received mutual aid from Springfield Township, a fire department on a motor vehicle accident with injuries. The 2 out of districts incidents that we had with Toledo Fire Division, we had a company filling in at number 23 station. That's the night on May 11th that Toledo Fire Division had multiple alarm fires, and we provided an engine to fill in at number 23's fire station, which is on Lasky Road. That actual engine went to 2 additional fires for them and one motor vehicle accident. We did have an out-of-district run that we gave Springfield Township mutual aid for a motor vehicle accident. And then we had 3 different fires that we actually were at, the 86 or 8362 Sabania Met, the 9800 Brent, and the 6611 Charles Gate were both structure fires that we were at, that we asked mutual aid from the other departments to fill in for us while we were at those incidents. And then we continue to have our mutual aid agreement with Springfield Township on US 23, which again is working out very well. We helped them out with the mutual aid engine that we sent to them on US 23 southbound all the way up to Airport Highway. If the accident is in the northbound lane from Central Avenue all the way up to the Michigan line, they provide an engine for us to try to get resources there a little bit quicker. Community risk reduction. Commercial building inspection program is continuing. We had 14 of our, down further in the public relations event, you'll see that all 14 of our individuals that we had taking the test for inspectors did pass. We did give the pizza party, I think I brought this up last week. I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but we did do the Great Escape Pizza Party for Stranahan School. We did do an event with the police department. Their Citizens Patrol came in and we went over our apparatus, explained to them what we do with fires, how they can help us out as far as closing roads and keeping people back. We did participate with the police department again with the Battle of the Badges at Kistler Ford to see as many people as we could get in to sign up for a new car. They said it was a tie, which was okay for both of us. And actually the winner was supposed to get 1,000 and the loser was supposed to get 750, but they decided to give us both 1,000 to our account. So We both really appreciate that. And then we had the mock accident for Northview High School just before prom night. Try to encourage the kids not to drink and drive. That went over very well. We do have participation with St. Vincent's Medical Center. Lifelight was there. We do have both the township and the city police is there, as well as the OSP. And we had Walker Funeral Home there also. So it was attended well by all, and we think that if we just save one child from not drinking and driving, it was worth the effort. We also, all of us here, went to St. James Association to discuss any issues they had with the police, fire, road department, and that went over real well too. I've assigned Lieutenant Chad Morris and Patrick Miller to my PR committee. I want to try to get out there in the public a little bit more and sell our fire department. As far as when we have a fire, we go into that neighborhood the weekend after and we give out free batteries for smoke detectors, test the smoke detectors. If they don't have a smoke detector, we provide one for them. I want to make sure that we continue with that program. Chad and Patrick are getting scheduling quite a bit of events for us, so I might have to just hold them back just a little bit. We're getting a little busier than we want to be because we have training to do and we have runs to take also, but they're doing a great job with that. We did have 7 plan reviews that we went ahead and went through, which is about the average for the month. We have 2 big projects coming up. The Wildwood Medical Center on Central Avenue is going to be opening. They're going to have a temporary occupancy permit. They'll be opening very soon, and Lourdes College is in the process of putting 1 addition on. Rotary Hall will be putting an 18,000 square foot addition on, and then they're also talking about a sports complex that they're going to be adding at the old bus garage area. So it's been quite busy for Lieutenant Fralick on that. Our hiring process. We've closed the applications June 13 for part-time, full-time firefighters. We have 89 applicants right now, which is quite a few. We're very pleased with that. About half of those applicants are paramedics, so they would be able to be hired as full-time employees. So that is very promising. We did close the position of Deputy Fire Chief, the posting on July 16th. We have 4 applicants, and we'll be talking to Mr. Zeigler soon to schedule an appointment to start those interviews, so I can appoint a Deputy Chief here very soon. So that's about all I have, unless somebody has anything from you.
I do.
Yes, sir.
After you left the meeting last night, I showed up at the meeting and they were discussing a little bit about the fire station. And I guess the next firefighter was saying that he'd like to see 2 west and 2 east of the tracks. And this is my point, we do have mutual aid. So with mutual aid, it doesn't make a difference if we have 2 or 3. If we're in a situation where half of them are out in the west end and we have something major in the east, we're still going to get mutual aid from Toledo and from probably Springfield or somewhere else if we needed it.
That's correct.
So we wouldn't have a problem like that.
And that question did come up about the railroad tracks. And in my 33 years of service to this community, I can tell you that I have never been held up by a train for a structure fire. I have been held up by a train a couple times for a rescue run. And it wasn't difficult to get around it because they only usually block 1 or 2 of those pathways. And we do have other engines in other areas that we can get to those addresses very quickly. So that did come up in the discussion last night about the railroad.
Just wanted to give a heads up on that one for the other 2 trustees. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next on the agenda is the police department, and they have a monthly report.
Good evening. And all I can say is we're lucky we're not in Springfield Township and we don't have those trucks bisecting our, because I'll tell you what, I can't drive down there in a day without being blocked by a train or whatever. So thank goodness for small miracles like that. You have the monthly report in front of you, and I will just go through a couple of numbers real quick. You can read them for yourself, but dispatch calls, we had 1,562 police calls, an increase of 151 over April. We had 379 fire calls and 1,002 911 calls. As you can see, the police calls are up, and I might have mentioned last meeting that that's anticipating the summer. As the weather gets warmer, actually get more calls, and not so far we haven't seen it, but it's early in the summer, we'll get more reports and things like that too. We wrote 166 citations, that's down 12, which I am going to address that. I think that in the summer months that will need to increase. Property crash reports, we had 75, that's up 26, but we only had 9 injury reports, which is down 7. Again, thank goodness we've had 0 fatal injuries or fatal accidents. Burglaries, we had 9 for the month of May, which again is up a significant amount. Not totally unexpected. We have 1 robbery, 12 domestics, which that usually remains pretty constant. It's down to 8 assaults, 15 ODIs, in other words DUIs, 59 thefts, which is exactly the same, and overall 152 other reports, which is up 20. As far as our community affairs, the DARE program in both the elementary and the middle schools, is in the 2010-2011 school year. We are looking at, we're going to have some discussions in the near future with the school administrators and such, but we may eliminate the DARE program in the middle schools. Savannah City has already taken their officer out of the Corps. There's some question as to the success of hitting again 2 years after they were exposed in the 5th grade. I know a lot of communities that conduct the middle school DARE program do not do so at the 5th grade level. So we'll take a look at that and get their input and such. As you know, and I thank you before, and I thank you again for your attendance at the May 14th 24-hour challenge. I thought it was a real good event, and we did receive a very nice letter from Deb Cheney and her staff at SCAF. They really appreciate our efforts. This week, I'm probably going to be the hottest week of the year, at least starting off Monday. Some of our poor guys are out conducting safety count on the pavement at Central Elementary School, and we've got 135 kids, or approximately 135 kids that are registered in that. Last week I attended, in Arbor Hills, we had what is called an ALICE is the acronym. It's basically, in a nutshell, we did a presentation. It's a program, and I may have mentioned this before, the thinking in reacting to violent intruders, school shootings and such has changed dramatically since Columbine, where we teach them to lock themselves in, hide in a corner, turn off the lights, and basically be very, very vulnerable, unfortunately. Since Virginia Tech and some of those incidents, as supported by Homeland Security, there's a whole new train of thought as far as trying to evacuate, if at all possible, rushing someone, fighting back, things like that. We actually gave a presentation to the school administrators at Arbor Hills last Wednesday. I can tell you that it was, we actually did scenarios and everything else. And it was a very good training. It was very, very well received. In fact, the AD from Southview, been around for a few years, actually came up to me and said it's great, but for all their in-service, or all his in-service trainings through the years, that was the best training that he had ever received in one of the in-school in-service trainings. We're going to present it with their assistance in August to the faculty, and then it will actually be introduced to high school and middle school students this next school year. Obviously, elementary school kids are a little bit young, but the high school and middle school kids will be exposed to it during their school year. Citizens Patrol volunteers volunteered, you can see in some of your documentation there, continue to contribute many hours in assisting us with various activities. I anticipate and hope that they're going to be out July 3rd during our fireworks event too. May 7th, you're aware, I'll just mention these, but they don't bear repeating. We had the SRT incident up on Maplewood Drive up in Savannah. I'm still awaiting the official report from ECI on their investigation. But I've talked to the investigator several times, and it's not anticipated there were any issues, any problems. In fact, his comments also have been that it was very, very well handled. I think I mentioned before the May 10th crackdown, I call it crackdown on BW3s, where we had the gang activity, the drug dealing activity and such at the store there, and we dealt with that. We'll hit that random to keep the riffraff out. The DEA task force, you'll know, it made 2 arrests during the month of May, opened 8 new cases, and see $85,000 in the month of May that will probably end up with about 11%. The formula varies with the particulars of the case, but and I realize we're not into it to make money either. But the one thing that's good, as I said before, is anything that goes down in the township, they're going to be very quick to react with not only our officer in there, but with our former officer, who is now a DEA member, involved in that. Currently, I'm working on the planning for the July 3rd fireworks. Last year we worked that with 20 additional officers. This year I anticipate we'll have 21 additional. That's about the number I need. Last year, by my observation and by comments from other people, including officers, was our best year yet as far as clearing the traffic out and no incidents and no problems. And I hope and anticipate that it will go as well or better this year. Down the road here, what I was thinking about doing for you, if you'd all like, is some of those are paid by Ken Cataphias with some big recreation. But I can draw you up some kind of a cost of what it actually costs us. Now, some officers, quite a number of them, actually put in for comp time. And then most of the time, they use that comp time when it does not create us overtime. But I'll just write it up as if it were paid for everything. That way you can come up with some kind of an idea of what it's costing the police department to with the fireworks. Because I can tell you, and it's no slam on them, but we are 10 times more involved than what the city is. Okay, just because it's in our jurisdiction and everybody asks us through the township. We're really not coming through the city. As far as detectives, cases assigned, there were 75 in the month of May. They cleared 46. That keeps 29 still active. And they cleared 27 prior cases for a total clearance of 73 cases during the month of May. You'll see on the one sheet, we continue to do our training. We actually, there's a couple of errors in that report that should have been increased, but I've got 1,100 in that report, 1,107 hours of actual training for our staff of 61 people during the month of May. So we continue, most of that is obviously officer training. The Violent Fugitive Crime Task Force, I'll just read one little paragraph in this letter here to show you the kind of activity he's involved in. That deters a lot of things from ever occurring in the township before it starts. On May 17, 2011, I was conducting surveillance in the Monroe Seaport Talmadge area after having been made aware of several car break-ins in the township and having knowledge of same in Toledo. I observed a suspicious vehicle on Monroe Street and believed one of the passengers was this individual. I'm not going to name him here. A known car break-in suspect. Upon following the car, I obtained the registration. The vehicle was found to be stolen. I continued to follow the suspects while relaying information to TPD units. While following, I observed the suspects attempt to get into several vehicles, checking doors to see if I'm locked in the area of Sylvania Seaport Monroe. Upon directing the marked unit, a pursuit ensued. The suspect, actually there were 2 of them, were both arrested after bailing from the vehicle and attempted to hide inside a business on Monroe Street. Both suspects are well known for breaking into vehicles and for stealing cars, both having just been released from prison. So a little proactive activity to keep them out. I will also tell you that approximately 2 weeks ago, I don't remember the day of the week, I had the head of the criminal part of the local FBI office, the Toledo that office, meet with me along with the supervisor of the task force, and basically they express their satisfaction with the officer that we have in that task force. They're very, very happy with our partnership, if you will, and would like to see it continue, which I assure you we would. Very quickly, dispatch hiring. We advertised last week. This week, we are actually taking applications. There were a number of people that came in the office today. We've got it set up for a July 10th dispatch test. And as far as the deputy chief position, I conducted one interview today. I was favorably impressed with the individual today. I've got one tomorrow, and I've got one Thursday, and I'll get you your decision, my recommendation by Friday as requested.
Great.
With that, do you have any questions?
Yes, where are all the officers at when I'm driving through Sylvania 16 times today and haven't seen one cop? And everybody's passing, speeding, flying along, and this is a lot of things that need to be ticketed, and that's what we talked about before. It's that time of year where these guys are speeding. I mean, I had 6 girls cut me off today just to turn in front of me and almost rear-ended them, and we have no one around to do anything about that. I haven't seen one today.
Well, I will dispute that a little bit in the sense that I just commented this morning to somebody that I can't drive in the township 3 miles without seeing one of our officers.
I didn't see one today at all.
Okay, well...
You can dispute all you want. I tell you what I saw, nothing.
Okay, well, we will continue to increase...
Sylvania Avenue's bad, right over here is bad too.
And if you see in the residential areas, I take complaints or calls every day that they happen to call. I haven't received many lately, but we set up extra officers to monitor the traffic in residential areas as we receive the complaints too. You know, it's hard to say. At that particular time, Mr. Haddad, they might have been out on a call or whatever. All I can tell you is that...
It was 7:30 this morning.
7:30 this morning?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, not so much for the public, but I will tell you that around 7 o'clock or a little bit after is a tough time because it's a roll call.
I know.
So, you know, there are going to be roll calls where there is people out there. But, you know, you just give me a call, let me know, especially if you've got them in your neighborhood or whatever, and we will address it with extra patrols, we'll address it with a speed trailer, we'll do what we need to do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do think those brown cars are harder to see as a, you know, just a regular driver out there. They're very difficult and they blend in, so that is kind of good in itself. But getting back to the numbers for July 3rd, that would be great information to have just for our sake, for moving forward.
Hey, Chief, the monies that, I know you didn't want to make a business out of this, but the monies that are left over, is that monies that we could put in as kind of a pool for our raises and things like that for the unions next year when they come looking for monies, the monies that we're getting, positive
the revenue
spend?
from DEA and
Yeah.
that sort of thing? Yeah, I don't believe there are any restrictions in how we use
Okay,
it.
it's good to know.
And even the law enforcement trust funds and the different things we receive from the sale of vehicles, for example, seizures and such.
Sure.
I do believe that that can be used for salaries along with some other things.
So, something to think about in the fall for your budget, you know? Okay, cool, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is administrator. I do not have any resolutions, but I would like to just comment that last week at our hearing, 2 weeks ago, we had a discussion about noise at the village inn and that. Since that time, I have taken copies of our noise resolution. There was a, now I use the term court settlement with the village inn years ago. They agreed to certain things in the settlement. We're checking on that. I have sent those to our legal counsel, and I'll be setting up a meeting with the legal counsel, the chief of police and myself, go over our options. We have a business here, we don't want to run them out of town, but we want to enforce the law. So we'll come to you with some recommendations of what we can do to control noise at the village.
Great.
Thanks, John.
Next item up is Simcoe, this office.
Fiscal Officer Mr. Beck, can you review our May financial report?
Thank you. Good evening. You have before you the month-end report, the one page of the month-end analysis. There's a summary of the major funds that you have. All expenditures except for the general fund are within budget. The reason why the general fund is is not within budget is we had two particular items, the IBNR that we paid out and budgeted 100%, and the TIF, which is a huge sum of money, and we paid 50% of that. So if I took those two particular items out of the equation, we'd be at 35.8%, which is well below what we expected. So revenue is, as you can see, the revenue is, all the major funds are really, really close to one another. I think that's what we expect at the end of 5 months. The tax dollars will start coming in July, the end of July, in August, and they'll settle in September. But everything seems to be well within line. We may have a couple items, line items that are out of line, but we're watching those very carefully. So, with that, if you have any questions regarding any of this, I'd be happy to try and answer that.
I know we've discussed it up here before, and you provided all the information at the time, but our investment portfolio, I was thinking maybe it'd be nice to give us a quarterly update like most of us get with our, stocks and our 401ks and stuff. So maybe at our next meeting, we'd be past our second quarter, and you could give us an update on that.
Absolutely. I actually have that. Like I said, I can give that to you on a daily basis. So
I don't need it daily by any means, but just kind of an update every quarter would be great.
Certainly.
Hey, Jim, the other thing too, and I've forgotten about this, but the benchmarking, we were looking at streamlining our costs.
That bill got paid last week.
Okay, great.
Okay, and when they receive that, they will be notifying me of how to get into the system.
Great.
And then we'll be scheduling training for all the various departments as well as myself.
Awesome.
To start doing that, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
If there's no further questions, I have 3 resolutions I'd like to offer. And let me get to it here. The first resolution is Resolution 11-1110, or 110, excuse me. This particular is to increase the appropriation and encumbered balance. There's 3 line items that we need to increase. There's some money for fire prevention supplies. They received a donation that was specified for the fire prevention supplies. The Sylvania Township Police Department needs to hire a new dispatcher, and we don't have any money in that particular line item, so we need to increase that one. And the last one is the abandoned vehicle monies that we received for the abandoned vehicle that was sold at auction by ORC is required to come into the general fund. But the history in the past is that we've always transferred that money to the police department. So I'm asking that you increase those appropriations in the, that resolution.
I'll offer Resolution 11-110, increase the appropriation from the unencumbered balance on the items listed.
Second.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Second resolution that I'd like to offer is Resolution 11-111, and this is a transfer of appropriations. And we had approved an agreement with the ACT Ltd. to develop a new website, and I don't have enough money in that particular line item, but I do in some other ones, so I'm asking that you transfer from the ones I have enough money into that particular line item. And they have some other line items in the general fund that we have some shortages in the line items, and this is just the transfer.
All right, I'll offer Resolution 11-111 to transfer appropriations for our agreement with ACT.
Second.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes. Just briefly here, how many department heads had a chance to sit down with ACT this week? I know they were going to come around and try to sit with department heads.
I haven't seen them.
No? Okay. Sorry, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. The last resolution I have is Resolution 11-112, And that's to actually physically transfer the money from the general fund to the police fund for that abandoned vehicle that was sold at auction. So we're physically transferring that money.
I'll offer a resolution to transfer funds, offer resolution 11-112 to transfer funds.
Second.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
I have nothing further unless you have some questions that you need to ask me.
That was nice, Jim, and to the point.
Good job.
And the next item on the agenda is the open discussion. Also give you the sheet and notice there, the gentleman did sign under items.
That's okay, bring it over.
Yeah.
Mr. Zimmerman.
Daniel Zimmerman.
I'm Daniel Zimmerman, 6012 Whiteford Road, resident of Sylvania Township for 63 years. Questioning, and I thought the topic tonight was going to be the storm sewer water district scenario. Some of the questions I had for the trustees are, how do you perceive the impact on the businesses of the township? And what businesses specifically would be affected? And in our particular case, both at a residence and at our business, we're located east of the 23 Expressway, where the ground is still the sand from the glacial sand. And very little, in fact, our own residents, about 0.3% of the water from our driveway and or home is only going out onto the roadway, which eventually makes it to the storm sewer.
Dan, I can
Is
answer
there any
these.
compensation for those type of situations and their business?
I'm going to answer these one at a time as you ask them, because I know the most about this thing. Right now, they're going to be basing it on what they call ERU, Equivalent Residential Units, based on 5,500 square feet per household. They're also basing it on on impervious surface, which would mean rooftops, as well as concrete or blacktop soil. And then if you have retention ponds and have done other measures to reduce the flow of the water off the property into the ditches or stormwaters, they'll give you credits for that. So it depends on the business. Example, Myers is going to be paying between $8,000 and $9,000 extra a year in taxes. In Mr. Brown's case, he's going to be paying about $5,000 or $6,000 a year in taxes, extra, because it's going to be $480,000 to $520,000 will be coming off of the homes, and then the businesses will be paying the rest of that $350,000 to the county.
I would correct you, Trustee Ed, as you all know, all three of you are business related. There are no businesses that pay taxes. We as citizens and consumers are the ones that pay taxes.
Well, these are property taxes. These are not other taxes. They're property taxes.
So
They're going to be on your property tax bill.
Do you think that the Walmart or minor people will just not incorporate that into their sales?
I don't know what they're going to do, because that's provided under the Ohio Revised Code 6117, which gives the commissioners the ability to tax you and throw it on your property tax bill. And that will be how they're going to collect that through the auditor's office.
And again, my point is, no businesses pay taxes.
I pay property taxes.
The consumer pays the
You're right.
taxes.
You're right. They pay it through You're correct. It's going to be probably passed on to you.
By the way, the additional cost for building and doing the retention ponds, which are already required, is both in some circumstances, especially in residential areas where they've been required, even though the protection around those ponds are fenced and so forth, there's still, in my estimation, present an enticement for children. But worst of all, right now, I'm not sure if we're turning our area back to the black swamp or not, but the mosquito control is horrendous.
Tell me about it. They sprayed my street and I'm still getting eaten up.
By the way, Chief, I did see 3 township vehicles this morning, but they are some of them difficult to see, which I suppose is good and bad.
One in particular is by design. I can be right on top of it. It doesn't have the big overheads.
Right.
It has some covert behind it.
Yes, it's true.
But I know all the cop cars, how they look, because I looked there when they were putting them together. I just couldn't see one this morning.
Then also then is that will the government entities have to pay, such as school districts and things?
Yes.
They have to pay this cost also?
Yes. Anyone that's in the township, the ones in the city of Sylvania, won't, because they're under the city of Sylvania Stormwater District. The ones in the township, like Arbor Hills, Whiteford, Timberstone, those are in the township and those will have to pay.
If the township was to establish their own system, then would that require a separate and new organization for the township then?
We have to go back because the previous trustees disbanded the water district for the township. We'd have to create another water district, stormwater district,
Yes.
put in trustees to take care of that district, report to us on, as a district, and what they're progressing on, and all the details that would have to do with the stormwater.
Would any of the worker or the people who would have to complete the projects, would they be from the township itself, or would it be additional employees that would have to be hired by the township?
Well, under the proposal that I proposed, we would have minimal labor costs through the township. We do a lot of these things already through the road fund. Several things that would have to be done is street sweeping to make sure the streets are clean, checking out complaints where people are dumping oil and stuff down the sewers. Mr. Hoffman and I sat down and we discussed that. We have to clean the sewers regularly too, make sure they're inspected because, like I said, people pouring grease down sewers and, you know, like bacon grease and stuff like that's part of the problem. Contaminants, leakage, all those things would have to be investigated and done as reported when their complaints filed.
Then most of that's already being done.
A lot of that's being done through us.
It's being reported if there is any.
Correct.
Well, obviously, there's much more to be studied, in my opinion, for this project. However, it bothers me a great deal that one more government entity is taking my money away and spending it where I don't necessarily not only not have control of it, where it's going to be spent once it enters the Lucas County system. But if we were to get, quote, our money back, why send it there in the first place? There's too many sticky hands in the way that our money will come back, and we're not going to receive all of our funds back to the township that we're paying. It's obvious on every government level.
The way I figured it out, it's going to be almost $2 million going to the county, and we should get back total in services about $200,000 to $300,000 of that. So they're going to be making $1.7 million. Be like me asking you to install a furnace and air conditioning system in my home, and I'll pay you $1,000 now, and maybe I'll give you some more down the road for it. But thanks anyways.
Dan, if I could just say something here as a small business owner like myself, and I'm not an authoritarian on this, and Kevin has done a great job of doing a lot of research. We've got a long, long way to go. I've asked for months for a business plan. I've got what I think is kind of a business plan from Kevin, and I've got a business plan from the Lucas County. I've got copies if anybody needs them. and also what's required to make this happen. I'm all for saving the tax dollar. I don't want to pay it either, okay? But you know, I don't want to get sued either. And the plan that we're looking at, it's real easy to sit here and talk to the media, and I'd love to see where some of these are substantiated, because they're great. I love hearing it. I mean, we could save the township some money and the citizens, and the great job Kevin's done with it. I just haven't seen any numbers yet, Don. So as soon as we see the numbers, and if we even legally can do it, which I don't think we can, that's the whole other catch.
You're wrong.
Wait. Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Sure, you may.
Since you added this to the agenda, and no disrespect to you, Mr. Zimmerman, but we should probably have our open discussion on this subject, and I think I jumped to the hearing of the public before we did that. So then you can comment on it, and we can have our discussion up here first. I mean, otherwise, you know.
You're right.
So.
Yeah.
So the questioning is right at the moment out of context.
It's just out of order, you know, because we should have had this discussion first, and then you could ask follow-up questions. And since it wasn't on the agenda originally, Kevin added it on the fly, and I was just going off my sheet here, and it said, you know, comments from the hearing of the public, and that's how we started calling your names.
At this point, then I will.
We'll give you a chance once we have our discussion up here to come back up and ask any other follow-up questions.
Ask anybody else anything but stormwater then, if anybody else is there speaking.
Well, we'll wait till
No,
after.
I'm saying of those people.
Okay. Penny, your stormwater, and Joy, I'm assuming you...
Stormwater.
No? Okay. Well, do we want to do this first,
Yes, we
or...
can discuss it.
Okay.
Sure.
Let's bring
Okay,
up the
with
subject stormwater.
extensive request, I did leave you a letter on your card. You get it this
Yeah, I
morning?
did, thank you.
Okay. I made the numbers very brief, because I can ask you right now, what's on page 27 of the county's plan? Do you know what's on page 27?
As I mentioned to you, I'm not a
I'm
not a
saying-
stormwater utility
What I'm saying, though,
expert.
that's very
I'll let the
lengthy.
experts handle this.
You're right, that's very
Okay.
lengthy. The Stormwater District was created in 2009. I'll be really brief on this. And when it was created, previous trustees entered in agreement with the county. They worked on a plan to make sure this was developed. As they developed the plan, it came into fruition, so they formed a Stormwater District. They went through a Stormwater Management Plan, which is required under an MS4, which is the legal jargon from the EPA. I won't go into all the details for everybody. Over the past year, Ms. Levine and other residents, Mr. Tolson and Mr. from the Kyle, was on our representatives on this district board that was formed by the county. There was other people from the other jurisdictions, one from each other jurisdiction. They decided to come up with the utility. A utility is like the Edison, gas company, water. They can tax, they can create how much money they need, and they can show the projects they're going to do with this money. As I followed into it and spent lots of time with the EPA, I'll be brief on this too, she explained to me, all we have to do is be in compliance with the permit. The permit has already been granted till 2014, the end of the 2013 year. So they will not throw us off the permit, because she said she's never seen anybody thrown off a permit. So if we stay in the district, we can stay in this district while we're creating our own district for the next few years. My biggest problem is once we're in the utility, I think it's going to take an act of God to get us out of the utility and stop spending the money with the county, especially the $2 million. Problem I see with the thing is that the list of projects to be done by the county were the things that Mr. Hoffman already has done in the township, in our area. Now, we did talk the other day when we had our meeting with Mr. Beck, Mr. Hoffman, and Mr. Zeitler. We sat down and we discussed all these figures. And I was very concerned that he's doing street sweeping, they're going to do sewer cleaning, they're going to just reimburse us their money back. Well, it's like me saying to you, give me $100,000, I'm going to go buy a Corvette. Well, what are you doing with the rest of the money? Don't worry about it. And then you see, well, I got to buy this guy a Corvette too down the road here, but, you know, too bad for the rest of your money, you're not getting anything back. And that's my biggest problem with the county taking this situation. I called today John Albers. I talked to Heidi with OTA, Ohio Township Association. John B. Albers II is the one who does strictly stormwaters and formed our district back when it was formed in the township years ago. He said, you are a home rule township. Yes, you can do this. He says, the only problem that I see is if the county will not let you out. That's where the big legal problem comes in, or if somebody wants to complain and sue you against doing this. Other than that, he says, I do not see it to be a problem. You should have your program ready in about 4 months. I did say, since the county's already done the work, we can pay them for our portion of what would be done for the township, what they've done. And then all we have to do is, that's phase 1 part. Phase 2 would be implementing the projects and collecting the money and doing the revenues and doing it ourselves. I would love to be in a county program if it was all of Lucas County, including Toledo, Sylvania, Oregon, and Maumee. Why should we have to pay the brunt of the money to all these other districts? And you guys, I think, agree with that too. I know that's your biggest concerns too.
Well, I would certainly think a county-wide program would be best for the area.
Correct.
And, you know, one of the ways to get there is by showing them how the 7 townships that are in this agreement work well together and things. But I certainly see the other side too. I mean, we have businesses here telling us and expressing their concerns about the additional taxes and fees and things. So, I mean, this is a complicated issue without a real easy solution. So again, you know, we just need to dig in a little bit deeper, and, you know, the more information we have, the easier the decision will be made.
The only problem that I have, that after 2 years, if we're still in it with these guys, it's going to go up to approximately $86 over the next 5 years.
In 2 years, does the utility and the coalition, would it have to be completely reformed again?
No, we would just be in the renewable of the license. The utility would continue on and on. We have to try to opt out before that point, if they will allow us to.
How difficult would it be to be opt-out? Does the county provide any clauses there or any
No, like Pete said to you
direction?
the other day, that we have to file paperwork with them asking to opt out. And if we don't do that soon, then, you know, they're going to say we continue to be in.
I did talk to the county to clarify a few things. The district, there is no technical utility, it's the district.
Yeah.
People think there's no word utility in any of the resolutions, and it's the district. That's the thing you opt out of, there's no opt out.
Correct.
The news media or somebody's picked up the word utility.
No, utility is the portion where they collect the money.
No.
Yes.
There is no utility in any of the resolutions, the district collects the money. The second thing is, Kevin's right, the county water and sewer district's been around for 40 years. We've been in it the whole time. In 2002, the county commissioners amended this water and sewer district to include stormwater. And so we were in it at that time. In 2009, as part of the permit that the township trustees at that time voted to opt into, created the stormwater district with the ability to use rates for the various 7 townships. I talked to legal counsel and the commissioners. The township would have to ask the county, if they don't need permission from any of the other townships, they could ask the county to withdraw from the district. To do that, the county would then have to redraw the district, excluding Sylvania Township. There's been some questions on that, because if they have to redraw the district, what about the water and sewer part of the district? Because it is all one district. That can be worked out, it takes time. Anything can be done with
Time and money.
council, the proper
You're right, time and
ORC requirements and time. So to opt out of the district, the township would have to ask the county to redraw the district and exclude the township there. And it's not something you can opt in or opt out, as somebody mentioned the other day, because once they redraw the district, we're out of it. And they would have to then redraw it again and to be in it, and that involves a very legal, cumbersome challenge. So you can get out, and there is a mechanism to get out.
Correct.
And that would be the same mechanism now, or in 2 years, or in 5 years?
Yes.
And we are in the district now, so it's not trying to prevent us to get in the district that once we're in, we might not get out. We are in it right now.
Okay.
One of the other things that I'd like to clear up is, once the district is set up, you as trustees are out of the picture. The district, the board, and this is the district board, this is ORC 61-19.07, the board shall, by its rules and resolutions, provide for the procedures, action, the selection of a president, secretary, and other officers of the district, their titles, terms of office, compensation, duties, numbers, and qualifications. So they are on their own. They are a separate, as Mr. Zimmerman, they are a separate political entity and do not answer to you. And one of the things that concerns some people is they say, well, we'll use the township, and I'm just using this as an example, I'm not saying having the township street sweeper to clean the streets. The district, on their own, would say, no, wait a minute, we'll buy the street sweeper and do it ourselves, or contract out. There's nothing in the rules or regulations that says that they have to use township employees. Now, it would be wise for them to do that, but they have no legal requirement to. They are a separate board. They set salaries, they hire employees, they do what they want. They actually set the rates.
It's like mosquito spray, where we never get our mosquito sprayed, and we pay for it, $2 million a year.
The numbers could be right on. That doesn't mean the district is going to use those numbers. They have
Correct.
to come up with their own plan.
But that's why I recommend a trustee to be on that board. Dave
Well,
Simcoe to be on that board.
The problem is, I think, the court, and the court determines, in our plan we submit to the court is actually the one that forms the district.
Correct.
In our plan we submit to the court, you have maybe who the trustees would be by position, business, and that. And I think the last time we had the township district out there, the court allowed one trustee.
One area,
that.
yeah.
And then the other ones were businessmen. But that's up to the court to determine who's makes up that board.
How long did it take to set up that district, and how much money did it cost to set up that
I'm not sure the money, but
district?
it took probably 2 years, because I've given you the packet that, through the court system, which moves very slow, as you know, just to file something takes months for them to come up. If there's any objections, and the objections,
more
and
time.
John, please correct me
Still
if
2
there's
years.
any objections, and it could be from a citizen,
Got 2 months.
person.
Well, it depends on if there's an objection or not.
If there's objections to it, that those are then heard by the court and taken into consideration, and once again, that slows the process down.
It took 2 years, and I think the township spent about $185,000.
They did.
Yeah, I think you might, right, it was about $185,000.
It was 181 or 180, but right in there, almost $200,000.
Correct.
We spent in legal fees and I think other related expenses.
Right.
There would have to be a plan, there had to be an operation as well as an organizational plan. There were hearings, so they had to have experts, so.
Yeah, it was, the expert fees and that for experts to be called in to testify and the like. It was a 2-year ordeal.
Now, just for my comfort level, that was just for one street. It would not be exponentially a fee of that. It would just maybe be a little bit more because it is a much bigger district and things, but not.
Yeah, this was.
I think we're trying to get the same amount of money, no matter how size or large, it's just a time in court.
The process is the same whether it's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
There might be more expert fees because then you have to have a plan of organization operation for whatever area you included in, but the process is identical.
Okay.
And once again, since it is a larger area, there'd be more people that could object.
Voicing,
And they
yeah.
could object
Sure.
based on whatever the fee is.
Anything.
But whatever the fee is, they might say, I don't want to pay any fee. So they object to the whole plan. And those have to be heard by the court.
Hey, John, if we did, if we did, and I don't know the answer here, that's why I'm asking, but
Anyone that
if we had the ORC, or the home rule, if we did home rule.
We are home rule.
Well, we are home rule, but
Yes.
we could actually implement that and then take it through the general fund and pay for which we don't have the money or the budget to do that, but that's the,
The general
only-
fund can
We would
do-
loan it
yes.
to the district till it gets moving. Then we would be
There'll be no
repaid.
mechanism to reimburse the general fund or collect fees through the 504.
Home rule doesn't affect, it has nothing to do with the regional water and sewer. At the time the township formed it, it was not a home rule.
Right.
So that has nothing to do with it.
would it make any sense to read what the county sent us before today publicly with regards to some of the implications if we
Well, I
decide?
think with in that county letter, in the letter, Trustee Holmes talking about, is a letter from the county engineer that I received today. It makes very good points, and I think one of the things in the back of the
That's what
letter
these guys do.
talks about
All they do.
countywide. You would like to see, as Kevin said, eventually countywide, but how do you do it all at once, or do you do it piecemeal? And also set up some study groups to find out what's the best way to do rates. Now, talking to him today, is the Township Association back, I want to say, a year or two ago, and I'm not sure the date, gave the direction to the county engineer that they didn't want just a basic plan. They wanted a little bit better plan. They actually are proactive, doing cleaning, not just maintenance and that. And that's where, and I was talking to the engineer, and that's where the $4 rate came up, because they were under the assumption, and they were directed by the association to come up with a little bit better plan. He said they could easily do a basic plan and drop the rate, but that wasn't their direction that they were given at the time. And one of the things he did say is, if you want, in the next year or two, form committees or whatever, and he would see no problem with having different rates for different townships based on what those people in those townships want. If one township, if our township wants this basic plan, what is that rate? I'll make it $3. If another township wants a deluxe plan, maybe they'll pay $5. But he thought that would be a good way as a compromise in the future, have each township, now that's the 7 townships, but each township
Yeah, we mentioned that before.
their level of servicing lot, and then they'll pay for it. Because basically, as he said to me here, is you're getting what you pay for. And this is a, I don't want to say deluxe plan, but it's a plan that's proactive to clean and do things before occurrences happen. And he says if you want a basic plan, you know, you do a basic plan. So he's open to those suggestions, and you know, over the next, because 2014 or end of 13, the permit expires, and at that time you're going to get together and determine really what they want. And he says in that time period from now to then, let's determine what each township wants and tell him, and he'll base the rate on what you want.
So in your professional, I don't want to say professional opinion.
You got a professional.
But, so we've got Kevin's business plan here.
Was simple.
Was simple, I understand.
Yeah, that's why I did it for you.
Speak what you'd like to say.
Yeah.
And his business plan here, and last week we were talking about maybe implementing this in August or September of this year. From what I'm reading, with all this ORC and all the documents, we'd be maybe lucky to get it done in a year. If you're telling me it was 2 years back in 2000 with,
well,
okay, at least a year. So, hold on a second. So the thought of trying to put this together and ram it in and risk lawsuits to the township and everything else that could happen, what I said last first week of the month, let's not be stupid here, and let's I don't want to say stupid, let's not make a mistake by rushing into something just to rush into something when all indications are saying that we've got a long way to go and a big road to hoe before we put this out and get it done right. And your month and 2 months is very aggressive, and I appreciate your effort and what you're doing, Kevin, but there's no way. We're going to get sued.
We aren't going to get sued.
We clean out St. James Woods.
We are not going to sue.
And the EPA lady, sorry, John, real quick, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The EPA lady said last week, and she did a great job. She said, we're bound. I mean, expect lawsuits. It's coming. There's third-party lawsuits all over the place.
Not for the township.
If we handle it ourselves, and not under the umbrella of with people with a lot more horsepower than what we have, the likelihood of that is possible.
I spoke to the lady who set up Northwoods. She said during the first 3 months they had several hundred calls. Once she told everybody what they were, once they sat down and reevaluated the properties, especially the businesses, and they got determinations, they haven't had one complaint.
Northwoods population.
I mean, right there,
That's
who's going to
5,000.
handle the 100 calls?
Well, no.
I mean, we have a pretty bare-bones staff here. I don't
They
think we
had
can...
her do that because she was part of the district. They have to handle that from the district, not from us. The district takes care of all that, not us.
5,500 people.
But I'm saying that everybody I spoke to who's done this has told me that it's happened in 6 to 9 months maximum. The only one that took a long time was Deerfield because they started cold turkey. They just became a home rule township when they started working on it. It took them 2.5 years.
I don't have a problem we can do it in 6 to 9 months. I had a problem that you said we could do it in 2 months.
No, I said we probably could get moving on it right now in 2 month because we'd have to get the paperwork to them and tell them we want to opt out of the utility. Because we'd have to opt out of utility.
Is that to do the 619 district takes time. And in that plan they submit to the courts, and we have no control of the courts, is how you are going to charge for rates in that. So until the plan, the 61 district is formed and has a plan and trustees, you can't charge rates. So if, let's say everything goes smooth and that, but the court takes time. There's objections. We don't know who's going to object out there, Myers or Walmart or whoever. We don't know that at this time. So if there's objections and that court takes time, a year, year and a half, 2 years, I don't know. You can't charge until the plan is in effect, and the plan then determines what your rates will be, and then the district, not the trustees, because once again, you're out of the picture once the plan is submitted to the court. The trustees then determine the rates of that plan, as I said earlier, not us. And you can't do that until the plan is in effect.
Do you want to amend your business plan on what it would cost to do the 6119?
That's 6119.
Your outline here?
Yeah,
These
that's 6119.
These 5 numbers here?
We can't do 6117 because we're not a county.
That's right.
6117 is Home Rule Township.
That's actually 6117 is what the district is right now.
Right now.
And that's through the county, and they have the authority. And I just, not to, of course, we talked about Deerfield Township, and when they set theirs up, just reading from their plan, Section B, legal authority. The township, this is Deerfield Township. The township's legal counsel has advised the Ohio Township that they lack the legal authority to implement various aspects of the 6 minimum control measures. So the township really can't do it. That's what they're saying. And that they need another entity to do it, and that's a 6119 entity. And that's what Deerfield Township set up. And then once again, they're out of the picture. People keep thinking, because the problem is in the 6119, they use the word trustees as the trustees of the district.
Right.
People confuse that with trustees as township trustees.
Mm-hmm.
And
Separate
so,
board.
once they set that up, Deerfield Township is out of the picture.
Okay. I was going to say, if the public would want to see the plans from the county and Kevin's plan, I've got copies for anybody.
And we're going to try to get this stuff online.
Yeah.
Kevin, on your budget that I'm looking at here.
Yeah.
Legal fees, $18,000.
Yes.
Where did we come up with that?
That's approximately what they've been averaging when I talk to every entity. The low end's usually about $10,000, the high end's about $25,000.
And who did you talk to? What?
I talked to Northwood, I talked to Deerfield, and I talked to this new one that was just formed down near Columbus. Two townships formed one together. I can't remember the names right offhand. Because when Heidi gave me the names, I don't have that up on my computer now.
Did they give you an hourly rate and how many hours it took or anything like that?
No, they said everything went pretty smooth. They said that's why they had around $15,000 for theirs only, because they said they went through the OTA, they used the OTA lawyers, and they had it all set up. They had no opposition.
As I've come to find out, not very much comes through this township.
Oh, yeah.
Very smooth and things.
I
But
figured 80,000 maybe.
engineering, like 120,000. Again, what kind of hourly rate, how many hours are we talking about, and what types of projects are we getting into with that?
This is for phase one. This is engineering the plan. Under this form here, this was setting up all of our documentation to present that to the public, making sure we're going to do ads in the different magazines and newspapers about things that we were doing, setting up the district, following the 6 points that the EPA mandated for us, and submitting our plan to them with the application fee of the $200.
I mean, how much does an ad cost in the Herald? I mean,
One second, sir.
I just...
And this is what I keep trying to reiterate. We're using the term we, so that we don't have a full...
I understand that, but these were the approximate numbers to give to this form.
I just want to make
But
sure.
the
We understand
the
that.
district does, you're right. I keep
This
forgetting
is the
myself.
district, but this is the numbers that were averaged from everybody who done this.
The term we...
This is what we would determine the cost would be by the district.
How many members
That way
would
it's not
be on
hard
the water district?
We could do 3, 5, 7, 2, whatever we wanted to do.
There's five on that one.
Yes.
But I would imagine, there's 3. You can't have less than 3, but you can.
No, you can't have less than 3. Maximum, I think, of 9.
9 cents.
Yes.
Okay. And once we create this district, we pretty much lose control.
Once you send the document, you send the plan to the court. Once you do that, you're out of the picture.
Once the court
then sends
approves
to the
it.
district And determines.
They will come to us once approved.
Revisions,
Yes.
complaints, objections, how the district should be set up.
I mean, how would we select the people on the trustee? I mean, we had one representative that,
The court might determine that you get one representative. The court might say, business might get one.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm just throwing that
They
out.
might put Mr. Brown, somebody on the district. They might put Ms. Levine. They might put somebody else who owns another business out here, Mr. Zimmerman or somebody.
With overall, the trustees propose that the 3 of them sit on the board.
But Judge Bowman, the judge wouldn't do it. He allowed them to have one. The county had a representative on the board.
Right.
I think it was John Crandall at the time.
Yes.
And so you can propose, and again, see, this all depends if there's an objection or not. The figure for legal fees will work if there's no objection. If there's an objection, that's not even close.
Yes.
That's not even going to be close. So that's the kind of a
This
little
was
bit of a
just if
shot.
everything went smooth.
Okay, so let's get back to the plan here. And I do need to say, the last 2 pages of this plan were a marketing piece from Feller Finch that you had submitted as a business plan Tuesday, which is not part of the real business plan. This is for
No.
Northwoods. But
That was
you-
Northwoods, what they
when
did,
you gave
because
us-
he gave me
That's
just a
fine.
synopsis of a outline.
That's fine, but I
plan.
didn't want anybody to think
No,
that that's
no.
not the business plan of Feller Finch,
No.
because it's not, but I am submitting.
That was the
it as part of
outline that
business
they
plan.
worked from.
Okay,
So if anybody wants that.
great.
And then under phase two, that was the cost of maintenance of the program was approximately $15,000 a year in labor hours and time. And then the $250,000 that I said average per year, there's years where we do about 100 to 135,000, but if we have a major break in a sewer like they're having the problems with over on Alexis in Sylvania City, then you might have a major project, or if a subdivision comes in, that would be paid out of the stormwater
Right,
fund.
but we have to have a district set up first before.
But
we
I'm
can
saying
talk
that's the
about
phase two monies, that's what I was saying, just to maintain the
All
program.
right.
So you guys got a brief idea of what it would cost.
And
Okay.
Mr.
Okay.
Haddad, just sit down, Trustee Haddad sat down with Greg, myself, Mr. Beck, and we're working up numbers. We were, told that, do a spreadsheet of numbers and costs, and Greg is working on that, and Jim is going to do the spreadsheet for us. One of the concerns I have is that we're picking on Deerfield Township, but they're the only township of any, they're near our size.
Correct.
Of any size that has their own district with a permit. And their budget for this year is $600,000. And so that kind of worries me that even, we're using Deerfield Township as an example, which is fine, but their budget is $600,000, and he told me that that includes very little capital. So I'm just worried that when we finally get all the numbers in that, there might be hidden costs that we don't know yet that could crop up. Plus, and this is, I don't know about the budget, but talking to the engineer and the EPA, that there are new rules and regulations being developed all the time. And they're going to, I don't want to use the word spring them on us, but they will filter down to us, and we will have to do what they say. And once again, that anytime they have new regulations, it costs money. We don't know what they are at this time, but they're always working on new, tighter restrictions.
One thing, those two townships that just merged and formed their own district last month, they got out of Hamilton County's district, and they formed their own district because of the costs. And
No, I'm not-
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
that's why, when I proposed this, it wasn't to say, too bad for the county, it's just, to me, we're such a large area with a large body of water near us.
Right.
And to be subsidizing all the projects going on the Ottawa River in Washington, and Jerusalem, and then the streams of water that are coming up from the south that aren't too mandatory, except for when you get near White House in that area, Waterville Township. Those areas, I can understand where they have a lot of water. We don't, we have a couple streams through us, and we have pretty good control of what we've done so far. Yes, we need to educate people, we need to train people, and we need to know what's going on. Countywide, I would like to see the county take over everything, then it's off of our backs, and let them do everything, because then I don't care if we're paying them $500,000 a year, which their approximate cost would be from everybody, which, districts, and then they could do all the projects they want to, and it's way off of our backs.
I think when the county was here with the engineering, that's their goal too. I mean, and I think the EPA's goal, they said they might be putting pressure to have regional water, because water knows no boundaries. And
That's it.
As you said earlier, where do you start? I mean, you have some townships that works, and maybe
Southern
get
Michigan and Wood County.
some other municipalities in it. And also, the county engineer, when he was here in his presentation, kind of committed to that we're about 39% of the money coming into the district. At the meeting, he basically said that he would expect us to get 39% of the benefit or the expenses for the district.
Could we get that in writing somehow, some way? And I know it's vague because in 1 year you can't do exactly that amount and it's got to be an average, but can we get something in writing that would give our residents and certainly this board the confidence that, hey, given a couple years' time, we will get our average money back? I mean, that's a good start.
I would love to see
Good
that.
point.
Right.
Then secondly, Kevin, one thing that I've got a little bit of discrepancy with you is, the county was here last week, and they said it was $808,000 that they're going to be generating.
Correct, because that's
And
based
you
on the 2000
keep
census.
But it has nothing to do with the census. It has nothing to do with our population. It is based on houses and residences that are in the township.
Well, we've had more homes built in the past 10 years.
Well, I think Mr. DeWitt can give us an exact number pretty quick because it's in the single digits each month. What'd you say, 39?
How many have we had in the past 10 years, would you say, that we've grown? How many homes have we grown in the past 10 years?
Well, wait a minute. The
Just
county,
guesstimate.
wait. The
Sure,
county
go
did their estimates based off last year's number of residences, not what it was 10 years ago.
That's not what they said. They said they
I think their
based
sheet
it on
said 2008.
2008 is when they did it, and they said they need to scrub that data before August and get it to
Right,
the
and
auditor.
Once again, I didn't get an official number, but I called building regulations and zoning, and I think they came up with 60 households, 60 to 100 households from their number is the possible increase. Once again, it's not, like you said, it's not
That's
population.
about
It's
$30,000.
parcels, and parcels,
Austin, Town, and Boardman are the ones that...
parcels don't tend to increase very much, other than if you took a farm field and
Right.
developed it, and we haven't done much of that lately, so.
Well, like Mr. Brown's properties, they're equivalent of probably about maybe... How many
16
acres you
acres,
said?
didn't you
How many
say?
acres?
16 acres.
So when you take that, it's probably equivalent of about 60 maybe ERUs.
Right, once again.
And that's going to be 60 times 48, so it's 3,
Right, whatever comes up, but the good news is that under the,
Plus the other
under the
piece.
plan, and the EPA mandate is that if a business does certain things to mitigate that, they get credits, and so there's credits, I think, up to 50% that you can get.
Maximum.
Yeah, max, up to 50%, which I'm not saying, is the wonder to roll your taxes, but.
But I'm going to
it
spend
helps.
$300,000 to build a drainage pond in the back of my property or pay the $3,000,
Which brings me also to the point that our
30
plan
years to get that money.
has to have that as part of one of the mandates is how we do a billing and credit system, and what do we base the credits on and that. So once again, that all has to be thought out.
Well, I think one thing we can all agree on is we're trying to look, and again, thank you, Kevin, for all your effort. We're not trying, I'm sick about this tax myself. I mean, we're trying to look for what's the cheapest, easiest way for everybody. We've looked I think we've done, Kevin, again, you've done a great job digging through this, and I think, John, you've done a great job, and myself investigating this, but believe me, we're not sitting up here like wanting to raise taxes. This is the last thing we want to see on our tax bills.
I would have never brought this up if I didn't think it was such an unbalanced tax. And they could have done it by linear footage of the properties, and they didn't do it that way. They did it with the ERUs, because there's 3 ways to tax for these districts. And that's what I'm saying. That's the only thing that's really bothered me. We're chunking the whole change in there, and we're getting the least amount of work I'm worried about.
But I think my biggest concern, Kevin, has been the timing. I mean, we
Sure.
are coming up against a lot of hard deadlines that we've got to comply with, or we're going to be in violation, and that could be a whole, another can that is opened up that we, never even bargained for. So,
But I just want to give you the whole synopsis of everything I've done, that's all.
Once again, I'm all for reducing that, and I think if we study it and determine the level we want instead of, because, once again, the county district based there on what the townships wanted at that time, what level of service they wanted, and that's where they came up with the number. I think when we talked to the engineer, he says, let's do a study, and if each township wants to do their own, we can have rates for each township, lower it if you want, higher it if you want, whatever level of service. But in talking to the various people, there's just no way we can get this done by the end of the year. And it doesn't have to be by the end of the year, it has to be before that, because the court would have to set the plan, the district would have to set up the rates and have to be to the auditor, or I have to back up. We'd have to determine what type of billing system we're going to use, and when I say we, I misspoke, the district would determine what type of billing system to use. And that will not happen.
and we can't agree up here, how are we going to turn it over to a district and ask them to get this stuff done by the end of the year? And Kevin, I do disagree with you again on, we have the 10-mile creek running through the large portion of our jurisdiction here.
We do.
And that is one of the major drainage,
But we're not going to get any control from Richfield because they're not in the district. And Michigan's not doing anything about it, dumping into the city of Sylvania. City of Sylvania is taking care of their portion, but that dumps into us too. And then we all go to Toledo, and God knows what's in the Toledo portion.
I agree. I mean, the best thing is a regional approach, and, it's whether you do it individually like you've proposed, or, coming together and putting something together and, trying to make it expanded or not. I don't know what's the best way to go. Can I ask you, what would be your next step to get this thing to where you want to see it?
Well, that's where we'd have to meet and discuss if we want to move forward. But in the meantime, I will meet with the county and see if he will look into proposal of doing all of Lucas County. If he doesn't want to, then I think we're gonna have to look at opting out, because I'm afraid once the county, Mr. Zimmerman will agree, once the county gets our money, they're gonna take our money, we're not gonna see anything back. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, anybody else want to speak on this? Because I think we beat this horse to death.
I agree.
Penny?
Penny Levine, 3753 Her Road. I wanted to speak about the wind turbine, but I didn't realize how involved this discussion was going to be on stormwater again. I sat on that committee. I was asked to sit on that committee after many, many water problems out the way, anything west of Centennial, north, you say Cobblestone area, that kind of thing. And the squeaky wheel gets the grease, needless to say. Unfortunately, I feel I've been greased. Okay? There are many problems with what they proposed. Committee members were not given, Mary Lynn, Springfield, various locations, Tony, we were not given the February 2011. As I requested that and finally got that, when was that, a week ago? No, last Friday. From Jim Shaw, because Mr. Mahoney had it in his hand, so did Mr. Zeitler at the previous meeting, 2 meetings ago. I'm like, what's that? February 2011, don't have it. So I asked for it, along with various questions that I've been asking all along. The program would have taken effect back in 2010, but because of the economy, they put it off. That's what's also, they've tacked on that additional year, claiming that it's taken that much time to work this program through. They stopped the process because of the economy and how ugly that hit would look if they proposed something such as that. We've had questions. Mary Lynn's had questions. I've had questions. I've yet to receive any answers. Therefore, that's why I started delving into different proposals, different scenarios, speaking with the city of Sylvania to see how they have implemented and they carry their stormwater district. Right up until the meeting on Tuesday, I had asked questions. Still no answers. Am I supposed to feel warm and fuzzy about that, especially as a committee member? No, I do not. When somebody doesn't answer my question, all trust is flushed. And that's how I feel. Along with, there's always been a problem because of the Prairie Ditch, all of those tributaries that dump into the 10 Mile Creek. They have not answered any of the questions as to, besides cleaning that out, are you going to shore up any of the sides, which erode every 6 months to a year? Never have gotten an answer on that. I want to know how much bang for our buck, for our 40 to 45 or 50% that our township is going to receive. I don't want to get an answer that, well, the first year has to do with all the EPA, NPDES stuff. Second year will be actual physical work along with year 3, 4, and 5. After the second year, which is really the third year, they're going to revise and relook at everything. The problem of it is what are we getting? What are they going to do? Back in 2009, late summer of 2009, as I've said, the storm, our Greg Huffman and his people cleaned out a great many of those large blockages, the 12 and 15 foot high blockages. Yes, we have some building up again, but what is the county going to do for us in our tributaries, in our 10 Mile Creek? What is the physical work, an explanation? Why is there a game plan that has taken all this time? Okay, and I've yet to receive an answer. Also, the $4, which really is $4.06, they started out with $4. That's what was given to us as the committee. I called it the Taco Bell plan because, as I kept saying, what bang are we getting for our buck? If we had 10 cents, if we had 15, if we had 25, whatever it may be, what will that give us? Will that give us shoring up the sides? Still no answer, but they set it at $4.06. And that's where it has stayed. Now I hear, as Mr. Zeitler saying, well, they said this, they said that. Water has no boundaries. I've heard that out of Pete Gerken's mouth now for 4 years. Okay, water has no boundaries. Where were they for the last 15? Okay, and for years prior. As you heard, each one kept blaming the other. No one was taking responsibility. Now that they want this plan, which is about $900 and some thousand, really, if you tweak the number, per year for the first 2 years, that's what this township will be paying. That's $1.8 million. As I said, where are we going to get the money? How are we going to get it? From our people, okay, from our residents, at this time of economic chaos. And I feel, now what I've experienced with these same players, I would like to see ourselves, take ourselves and put ourselves in the driver's seat so we can control what we are going to be responsible for. And if it blows up, you can blame yourself. And, you have to take responsibility for this. This is not pocket change. This is not chump change. This is a lot of money. And
we'd be turning it over to a board like you, who sat on it for many years, and then come out and tell us you're not happy because it didn't work the way you wanted it to.
Because, John, it's not the way I didn't want it to work. They did not answer questions. Now, I am supposed to, be used to sell this to people? When here there are questions that I had that they are not answering my questions? What would that do to you if you were purchasing a home or purchasing anything, buying a business? And there are certain questions that you have that are very important, but they're not answering them, and they keep delaying, or they don't return your phone call. Are you going to now go out and feel fuzzy and start packing and ready to move in? I don't think so.
No. But I do think that you surprised many of the people when you came out and opposed it last week.
Absolutely.
Most of them, thought that you've been on board since the beginning, and I think it caught a lot of people by surprise.
Because that was the first time, John, I was allowed to speak on that. Each time been held for 3 minutes. Each time for 3 minutes, I was held. I wanted to, I don't even have a date on here. The last time I spoke on it was about a month and a half ago on the stormwater. Wanted to continue. That's when, nope, hold it for a later date. I had used my time, because at that time, too, I had questions, and I wanted to explain what you guys need to look for as you three, who hopefully can get together and work out some kind of plan. Yes, we're locked in, but if you have time to put something together and hopefully become our own district, that would be great for a lot less money, plus you have more control over it. Is this as I was accused last Tuesday, at 1 o'clock was the meeting, just this last Tuesday, of this being political? Absolutely not. I've been working like an idiot for free for 14 years on this, okay? So this is not a political little tag or anything for myself. Absolutely not. I've spent a lot of hours, a lot of poison ivy, and everything else working on this project.
Well, it must be very disappointing for you then to.
It is very disappointing.
To it, and you don't even know what's coming out.
Exactly, John.
That's.
But I will not support something I do not understand, and that's what I want to make clear.
I think part of the problem with the county, and you say, they go back many years trying to deal with flooding issues, but I mean, when people like yourself went out and built in a floodplain and then build a pond up, these problems escalate. And,
I don't flood, John.
Well, I know, but the person downstream from you does.
They have always flooded, yes.
You elevated your property with a pond and you put up a house where there used to be a floodplain. That's why it is an issue right now in our community. And we continue to have a lot of serious flooding out in that western end, as you know.
Exactly, John.
And show us all the time.
And you know what? The county approved all of that paperwork along with the Stanley buildings and everything else. Okay? You've got floodway, you've got floodplain. Those people that live down the end that flood, those houses have been there for 60, 80, some of them 120 years. They're old family farmers. What they were told was they need to lift their homes up and elevate them like Jerusalem Township and put stick build underneath them. Can you tell that to the 75, 85-year-old person? I don't think so. So to say that something, or you should have been heads up, or this, that, and the other, you're talking about people that farmed that land from ages ago. You're talking about us who checked every avenue, we did everything that we were supposed to. And fortunately, the 5 of us that built there, we do not flood. And our elevation, we were not to raise our elevation at all. We are even with the road. That was a requirement. Anything else around us, which thank God is farmland because it will, absorb any water, but it has been a big problem, and Mr. Early argues this point. Well, it was, flooded in 2006, was a declared disaster, flooded again in 8, flooded also in 7. I've got all the pictures and movie films. The thing of it is it was neglected. It was never cleaned out for 40-some years. So when you take the stopper out of the bathtub, the water can flow. EPA was out there 3 weeks ago testing the water off of the Her Road Bridge. So I spoke to them. So I'm going to stop. I spoke to them and they said, yeah, we haven't had any problems out here, but we're testing. And there's a great flow to it. I said, if you would have seen this prior to June, of 2009, very little flow was there because it was constricted in various locations. And the big problem was, you talk about Richfield and that, Fulton County did a beautiful job on retiling and also cleaning out their ditches and their farm ditches along their roads. They put a ton of money, into it. That water came faster and more of it, and then hit Sylvania. So that's why a lot of it had flooded in 06, 07, and 08. So, he will say that you can't control and this won't fix it all. We know that. We're not stupid. Okay? We know that this will not fix all of the flooding, but this way at least it's contained, maybe on the road, maybe in the ditches, that kind of thing, instead of washing somebody's first floor out and washing cars down the road to Central. And closing Central for 3 days, and Bancroft for 3 days, and Chrissy for 3 days. Anything's better than nothing, and I'll tell you, we had a lot of rain and a lot of snow, which he argues against that too, so he better argue with the climatologist. We had no flooding. There were pitchy patches out in the fields, Walter will tell you, but nobody had water gushing through their homes or blowing out the windows in their storm drains. I mean, unbelievable. So I think we are on the right road. I think we need to drive and reach our own destiny. We need to be in control of something because I'm telling you, I'm not warm and fuzzy.
We would be in control of a panel like yourself.
But with the district,
for,
with them, you were not.
God forbid, after 7 years, you decide you don't like that plan. I mean, it just is, it's a difficult decision.
I've been on theirs for 4.5 years, and we had a total of 6 meetings as a committee. Everything else, when they came in, they did their PowerPoint, that kind of thing as an update that they tweaked, this, that, and the other. We gave our opinions on certain things, and then, like I said, in February, we didn't have that. Our last meeting was last fall.
Well, like I said, it is a difficult issue, and we are running up against some very hard deadlines, and we're going to do our due diligence and keep making sure that the township is, getting its bang for its buck, and, first and foremost, we want clean stormwater, we want to reduce the flooding in our jurisdiction, and we want to do it at a reasonable price.
Right.
And,
And I think with what I handed you last week, what Kevin's been working on, the numbers are around the same, and following those 6 MCMs, I mean, they're all pretty much, the same as, and his formula is different than mine, because I'm going by front footage, he's going, but, I mean, those were the things where you have to look at different plans to even know which one is legal, what you can do, because of limited rule, and which way you can't. I'm going to cut right there, but my one question is, back in March 1st, at a regular meeting, it had to do with the wind turbines. I wondered if you guys had discussed it any time since. It's been about 4 months. I asked for any zoning to implement a plan or a resolution addressing the restrictions for wind turbines within our area if it starts to come our way because of what's happening across the line. A 2-mile buffer, for any future possibilities and intrusion for the wind turbines. So I didn't know if you guys had just had a chance to discuss that.
Couple of things. First, I wish you would have brought the stormwater stuff to us a lot sooner so we could have had a fair amount of time to address it. About the wind turbines, Mr. Mahoney, you were the last one that went to the meeting up there. Could you give us an update in terms of where they're at and what's
Was that the Lenawee County building?
No, the one last week up in Riga.
Okay, did Josh give you what they had determined?
Yes.
500 and some feet as a setback?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's not over.
You know, yeah.
It's coming towards us.
They were asking for the two, and again, I'm not, just like I am a stormwater person, I'm not a wind tower person either, so, but what little I do know about it is, the developer's got X in the plan, and the 2-mile buffer won't work, the mile buffer won't work, but the trustees and the zoning commission may get it up over, if they can get it up over 500, it would probably, the developer may not have an interest, because in the development world, as we know, it's all, A, B, and C, they all got to fit in to make money.
We know that well, yes.
Yeah, thank you. So I think that's what they're going to do, is they're going to try to look at, if they can just get them up over a little bit over the 500, that maybe a compromise.
See, which is still ridiculous now. Yeah, still ridiculous.
I'm a concerned citizen for the.
I wish you would have been at the 6.5-hour seminar. I mean, that was just, what an eye-opener.
I don't have a full handle of it, sounds like that you might, but
You need to meet up with Josh, let me tell you, because he will open your eyes.
I've spent many hours with Josh, and he keeps us well informed.
Yes.
Thank you, Penny.
Thanks, Penny.
Thanks.
One more here. There's so much paperwork around here, I can't find it. Joy.
I'm happy to hear that you talked about the Village Inn, and I'm back again because you had, at the last meeting, Baron Black was here about your website. So I got on your website, which was very easy to use, I have to say, along with a co-owner in Foxhall Village. And in 2006, the policy for noise was very clear, clearly written here. And I guess somebody, and I don't remember who it was, told me that the noise ordinance only restricted to lawn mowing and things like that. And I don't remember who that was that did it, if it was the zoning person. Okay. Are you not aware of this?
I don't know what you're seeing.
2006. This was passed in 2006.
Mine is 2006 also.
It clearly states, and I'm wondering why this is such a difficult thing and why I've been fighting this for so many years, when it states plainly audible means any sound produced that can be clearly heard by a person using his normal hearing facilities at a distance of 150 feet or more from the source of the noise or loud sound.
Yeah, that's part of it. You were specifically talking about 10 o'clock. That's what I was referring to, and if you look at that and review that, because I know it well, you were talking about, I told you.
That's because every time.
For work activities.
Well, every time I call the township police, they tell me that the ordinance allows there to be noise up until 10 o'clock at night, and there's not a thing that they can do about it until after 10 o'clock at night. What I don't understand is this clearly states, and that's one piece of this ordinance, it clearly states about the noise of music in public places like that. So again, why don't we enforce this noise ordinance that this township set up in 2006, and it can't be handled in a manner, as far as I'm concerned, very easy. You've got an open porch that has music on it. I have had my sister staying with me for a month now, and she is amazed at how this has gone on every Saturday and every Sunday night. And again, I called this weekend again, and they told me it was before shift changed, that I called and I said, listen, they just took a break, and I'm calling about it. It was after 10 o'clock on Saturday, and I said, don't send the police officer out there now because they just took a break. But I want you to go back over because it's very loud. As the night goes on, it gets louder and louder. And the person that answered the phone said, well, we have to go out when you call us. And I said, well, what's the point of that? I'm telling you, they're not playing.
All right, well.
I called back, and then they tell me
Joy,
that, please let me
you're
finish.
the only two people that have complained.
No.
I've asked everybody in the association, nobody else has a problem with it.
Kevin,
No.
you have to stay out of this because I have a
No, I don't have to
conflict
stay out of
with
this.
you.
I'm a
Hold on.
trustee.
Can
and it's my
I
job.
ask, Joy, can I please ask you to come to our next meeting and give our administrator and our police chief and hopefully our zoning guy, if they can, and probably our attorney, if they can have a meeting and give us an update at our next meeting? Because right now, I mean, we're all just kind of at a loss, and I know you've been waiting very patiently a long time.
This is gonna go on all
But please be
summer.
happy that we are moving on it, we are getting progress, and we'd be happy to give you an update at our next meeting. I mean, you brought your concern to us, we are addressing it. I think the people that our administrator will be working with will be the right team to have, and let's see
Well,
what
I
we
guess
present to you next week, and then by all means, let's
All
get
right,
your
it's
comments
been-
and concerns.
It's been 2 weeks. Obviously, nothing's happened.
Well, as you can see, we've got a full plate here in the township, and that's no excuse, but, we're just asking you for a little bit of time right now, and I don't think on this 95-degree humid day, you're gonna have your windows open anyways, but it's still the time of year, and we want to address your concerns.
That's my point. It's with my windows closed that I can hear the bass.
And I live on a busy road too, and I mean, I hear it by the
No, this
cars
isn't
driving
a
by,
bus- this
and
isn't a busy road
crotch
this year.
rockets and Harley Davidsons, and, sometimes you just want to go out and strangle these people, but, it is the summertime, and that's, and
I hear
again,
Nick and Jimmy's from my house.
we are addressing the issue, and please, at the next meeting, we will address it again, and we'd welcome your comments at that time.
Thank you.
I want it just put on
Thank you.
record that I'm really not happy with the speed that it happens when we've been since 2006.
Well, we've just been addressing it for the last couple weeks, and I know...
Well, I know, but what happens to all the other years that it got pushed
Well,
back?
you elect the
and
rest
pushed
of
back?
us, and we'll keep addressing it, but, I mean, that is another disadvantage to the political system. I mean, you do have changeover and things, and so maybe it hasn't been a priority, and I've known about it for a while, but you really brought it to our forefront at the last meeting, and we are continuing to look into it.
Well, that's one of the other problems. I can't vote for you because I live in the city.
No, you do vote for us.
No, I can't vote on the trustees?
No, you do. So, it's important that everybody understands the political setup out here, that the city does reside inside the township, and you do vote for the mayor and council and trustees.
Is there a reason that the township and the city can't work on this issue together?
We certainly, I mean, with the recent cooperation with the fire department, I think we are looking forward to more cooperation and things with the city, and hopefully, relationships will keep improving there. Because it is right there on the boundary, and, we don't want to sit
Is
and
there
point
anything
fingers.
that we can do about this to put a stop to it until something is resolved about this?
I mean, it is a private business, and he's, a for-profit thing, but again, we're not going to let him get away with something that, is in violation of something.
Again, I don't care that they play music over there. It's, why don't they put it inside the building?
Okay, thank you very much. We've talked about this enough. Thank you. We're done.
So we really...
Say that again in public. That sounds nice. There you go. So are you. Get out of the room, please. Just leave. Because you never stop talking. Get out. Let's move on.
You are the rudest person.
No, you are. I've dealt with you for 8 years at the association.
Yeah, and me too, Kevin.
I know.
One other thing. I do have a group of people, even though this person indicates that the whole association, which is totally against Kevin anyhow.
Yeah,
but
right.
we have a whole group of people.
That's why I ruled it for 8 years.
Do take and complain about this, but they have given up on it.
Yeah.
Because nobody's ever done it.
Well,
So what does it take? I mean, is that what it's going to take, is for
No.
you to get the whole complex
With you
over?
expressing your concerns, obviously, I know your next-door neighbor, and things are hearing the same things you are. So it's not like we're just taking it as one individual. We're looking at it as one business, and we're trying to figure out how we can work with that business in making everybody happy.
And you did
Everybody
receive
goes
the
out there
email
parties
from
and
the
go
gal
over
that
there.
couldn't
Yes, I did.
attend
Yes, I did.
today.
Yes, yes. Okay, thank you very much. And with that, do we have anything else?
No, we got to go into
Executive
Okay,
session.
I would like to offer a motion to go into executive session at 8:55 PM.
Second. Second.
Kevin seconded.
Mr. Mahoney? Yes. Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
And this is for pending and intimate.
Oh, pending litigation?
Yes.
Oh.
We don't have any. What is the next step on the
That's part of the whole